Hi, Father Ian Van Houston here. When we think of the life of holiness, I think a lot of times we tend to fall in extremes. So it's like you're either all in with the world or all in with being a holy, saintly person. But I want to kind of tell you a story about two people as a kind of parable to understand what I understand holiness to be and how I hope to inspire, particularly in young people. Now I'm going to use men because I'm a guy. It's a little bit easier for me to construct a story based on men. I want to tell the story of two young men, say 23. Let's say they're good friends as well. So these two young men are good friends and they're social, they're normal. So what do they do on Friday night? After a long week of work, they go out with their friends, so they go out. But I want to tell this difference. Let's say Bob and Joe. So Bob, let's say Bob leaves the party around 9 or 10 o'clock. You know, not too early, but not too late. Let's say he has 1 or 2 beers. He jokes around with some friends. So he goes home at 9:30, 10 o'clock. He's in bed by 11 o'clock. Let's look at Joe though. So Joe in this story, he's gonna stay out till midnight or till 1 in the morning. They were both at the same party together, both at the same club or whatever it might be. But when we start to get into that midnight, 1 o'clock, maybe Joe has a little bit too much to drink. You know, I don't wanna get too details, but maybe he makes some bad decisions that night. But what I want to start to imagine, of course, everybody knows, being out late, you're gonna start to make bad decisions. But let's think about this the next morning, Saturday morning. You know, I know one of the important things that I would want to see more young people doing is helping the poor, reaching out and helping other people. So Joe is hungover. He's still recovering, and maybe he laughs about it with his friends, oh, I'm so hungover. And by 11 o'clock, noon, he's just starting to get into his day and maybe just starting to recover from being at it all night. Let's say Bob is the holy person, not a weird kind of detached saint. But let's say because he went to bed at 11 o'clock, he got up at 7, 8 o'clock or maybe earlier. I like 8 hours sleep, so for me it's always like 8 hours. So 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and let's say he goes and he volunteers at a soup kitchen. Or he goes and volunteers with some outreach to the poor. Yeah, he had the fun with his friends. He was able to connect with them. But then he was also able to get up the next day and to help other people, to think of other people. And I bet you, if we look at this story and this ideal story, as much as we could see ourselves hanging out with both Bob and Joe, I bet you for women, young women, they're gonna wanna marry the guys like Bob. They're gonna wanna marry those people that have a sense of caring for other people. And I bet you both of them can be social. Both of them can be friendly. So what I want us to think about is, let's try to be more like Bob. You know, not necessarily we have to cut off all fun and not hang out with people, but that moderation that ultimately in the long run makes us more available to God and to neighbor. Amen.